I note that there is not currently a quorum of members of the Board of Health present, so there is no specific action that we can take. Are there some informational items, Melissa, that we should be made aware of?
Yeah, so at this time, I'm gonna hand the floor over to our town administrator, Jim Johnson, just to give you a brief update of what's been going on within the town over the last few days.
Great.
Hi everyone.
Hi everyone.
So you want to turn yours down.
So I just
we're just gonna
make sure we have the audio thing also.
Okay, so I just wanted to provide you folks with an update as to what we've been doing over the last week, or mostly couple of days, moving some things around. As you know, we've closed town hall to the public. We've also gone forward and now changed working schedules here in town hall to limit social distancing. We've been really focusing on that. If you watch on TV here, you'll see how spread out we are here, and we're the only three in the room, along with Patrick from Walpole Cable TV. So as it stands right now, town meeting is postponed. The moderator has gone forward and taken that action. The Board of Selectmen declared a state of emergency on Sunday afternoon, so that allows me to move around some money, overspend accounts if necessary. I want to try to avoid that, and gives us some flexibility as far as what we can do in terms of reaching out to the state. We are really encouraged by everyone's efforts here. Not only the staff, volunteers have stepped up, people have reached out. The COA has gone from a senior center to helping out with food pantry, and the school department have stepped up. Their teachers are preparing to allow kids to work from home, outreach to them. Cafeteria workers and van drivers are now delivering meals and making sure some of the kids are fed that are part of the school lunch program there. So everybody's really stepped up. It's kind of a unique situation. We've really transformed what we're doing here at Town Hall. A lot of people are working from home. A lot of them are working modified schedules, may come in at 6 a.m., stay till 8 a.m., come in, and I've advised them to come in the afternoon if they're more comfortable at 4 after some of the buildings cleared out a bit. For the most part, it's bare bone personnel here at the town hall. That's going to probably happen for the foreseeable future. We're trying to go week to week, but we're planning multiple weeks ahead. I'm focused. After we settle down a bit and get into this mode, we're going to start looking at budgets and where we can draw from if necessary, because we still have some funds that are owed to us from the state. So we're trying to plan accordingly for an event that we've never ever expected, for sure. So for the most part, we've also taken the action, Melissa and I, in conjunction with the building commissioner, to kind of ask large-scale builders and developers to scale back their operations, to shift to more of 10 personnel on job sites, no more than 10 personnel on job sites, where they're really just doing some basic work, housekeeping, cleanup work, no extensive work. Building inspection has switched to exterior inspections and emergency inspections only. They're also going to be helping Rika and Melissa do enforcement if and when that's necessary, along with the police department. So it's kind of a whole new world for us. The Board of Health in this situation has a lot of authority, and the chief, myself, Melissa, are still learning what some of that roles and authorities are, but I can tell you it's definitely expanded over the last couple days. So do you want to open it up for questions, and then we'll get into things? Does that sound okay to you folks?
Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, no, absolutely, Jim, and I want to assure you that the board is absolutely committed and poised to assist the town in any way that is necessary. Because you're actually right, the Massachusetts law grants fairly broad power and authority to boards of health. Not unlimited, but certainly very broad. But we are absolutely 100% committed in supporting anything and everything that you and the selectmen and the town needs to do during this completely unprecedented time.
Yeah. One other thing I'd note, board meetings generally across the board have been canceled. Melissa and I spoke this afternoon. I'd recommend that the Board of Health and the selectmen keep standing meetings going forward. We're getting better and better the more we do these types of Zoom meetings, and keep people actually are watching and tuning in and getting information. So I think it'd be a good idea to at least keep standing meetings for you folks, just to at least provide an in-person update to all of you and to the public as to what's happening. So does that make sense to you? Good.
Good.
Melissa, you want to add anything?
No, I think that's good. So we'll go over our schedule at the very end of the meeting. Does anyone else have any questions at all for Jim? No? All right, well, thank you very much, Jim, for being a part of the meeting.
I just wanted to
I just
thank
want
all
to
of you.
thank all of you.
And feel free to call if you need anything. And we're going to be here, and the three of us, along with Patrick, Superintendent Goff, Jody Cuneo, there's a couple of us who are still coming in. We're keeping our distance from each other because we don't want to get each other sick. But we're going to be here working together and working with you folks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jim, for all of your efforts.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, so to start the meeting, it seems like we still don't have a quorum.
We do not, so we cannot take action on the minutes, and we cannot really do any of, well, I mean, there are some informational things, I guess, that could be read into the record, but that would be about it at the moment.
Yeah, so just to kind of touch upon those informational items, the first one obviously is the coalition meeting scheduled for March. So obviously, with the situation in hand, we will cancel those meetings. However, the video poster contest was scheduled for the PM meeting in March. So I will work with John or Chief Carmichael to see what we can do to potentially, schools won't be back in session until the earliest would be April 6th. So potentially do a postponement of it, maybe do something remotely. I just want to make sure that, I mean, the kids put a lot of effort into their work, so I want to make sure that they're given their certificates. If they won prize money, I want to make sure that that also gets out to them. But obviously with the nature of everything going on, it's kind of hard to unless we mail it to them. So I feel like I want them to be recognized, but then also not postpone it. And as you know, if school does come back into session, I know May is a really busy month for the school. So kind of if anyone has any suggestions, definitely let me know. But as of now, we're going to postpone it and try to revisit when we can potentially either do a remote style award ceremony or maybe visit the schools once they're back in session.
Okay, no, absolutely. I think it's exceptionally important to recognize the work of the young folks in the schools on that topic. So anything that we can do to keep that going certainly would be good.
Sure. And then just the hazardous waste day collection, I really wasn't planning on canceling it at the moment because we are only in March. However, I did get Medfield did cancel theirs. Theirs again isn't until April. So ours is a month after theirs. So I think for the time being, I'm going to keep it in place and hear how things go. And then obviously, if need be, we would cancel in a timely fashion and let everyone know. And then we would somehow try to postpone it to another time throughout the year.
Well, I mean, I would be okay with that because I will be in Wisconsin on.
That's true. And you're a key volunteer, so.
Although my wife will probably not be running in a half marathon that day.
Okay.
So I'm sure that will get canceled.
I know, that's true. That is true.
But we will be out there that week. So yes, if it needs to get postponed, that's fine. I'll get my annual allotment of oil in my system.
I know the guys were actually sad to hear that you wouldn't be there, so.
Well, if it gets moved, that's okay.
Okay. So I think that's the only correspondence that we can really do that does not require a vote. We have the animal inspector. Just to let you know, I did speak with John Spillane. He is interested in being nominated again, so I believe that does require a vote. So you nominate him, and then I would complete the form, and then John would sign it, and I would send it into the state.
Right. Yeah, just looking at the agenda.
And then
unless
Rachel.
we've got another member that joins us, we're kind of stymied at the moment.
Yeah.
But we could get an update from Rachel on the vaping, if she has one.
Sure. Well, our latest meeting got canceled because of all of this, but I've been going monthly and meeting with superintendents and some teachers, school committee members from all over the state, and we're working on a unified curriculum that we're going to roll out for groups, middle school and high school, maybe grade 3 and 4 in elementary school, but there isn't a lot out there to build off of. But we're reviewing different curriculums that are out there, and the whole state of Massachusetts is going to be presented with a curriculum when we're done for education, prevention, and then most likely a cessation program as well. So I've been attending the meetings with Nancy Galvin. They've been great. Like I said, our last one got canceled, but it's a 2-year grant, so it's a 2-year project. We're coming up on the end of the first year, so we still have another year to work on it. So that's that, and it's good. It's going well. The class at the high school is going very well. Although now we're a little up in the air, but I have a couple students that I'm working with, so I think I'm going to try to initiate something like this and work remotely with them for the time being, because we were making some good headway, so I don't want to lose that.
Of course. Definitely.
Melissa, the items in our agenda, are there any things on there that are really critical to get dealt with?
I think at this time, unfortunately, I hate to say, there's really no urgency for most of them because of the pure fact that everything's getting pushed back. So anything that would have required a public hearing, obviously with what's going on right now, will be pushed back, and there'll be extensions given. There are 2 of the agenda items that have already been reviewed by Conservation Commission. So these were on the agenda's last place on the agenda when the packets went out last week, but since then the Conservation has had meetings, so therefore they already have had motions made and have approved the 2. So those are the North Street, the 1412 North Street, and then the notice of intent, the Mass DOT. So A and B of your item number 5 under conservation.
Okay. Our next meeting wouldn't be for another 3 weeks.
So the whole thing was we originally had canceled, well, not really canceled, but in lieu of our meeting, we were going to do the Iron Chef competition,
Right.
which has since been
I suspect that will
canceled.
be canceled.
It has been canceled, so we could still meet on April 7th.
I'm just wondering, with what's going on, should we, I'm not suggesting that we have necessarily a formal meeting, but should we have some sort of check-in
In between.
procedure between now and then?
Yeah, I'm fine with I don't know if a weekly check-in is too much, or, I mean, typically what we've been doing with the other boards and other just like department heads, we've been doing a weekly check-in, because as you know, the situation's evolving by the minute, so it's good to have that touch in. So I don't know if that's something that you guys are in favor of, or if you want to do every 2 weeks, or.
Well, I mean, it doesn't even have to be a video meeting like this. But yeah, I mean, I think the more that we're aware of what's going on over the next weeks, I mean, I hear some folks saying this is going to be like 8 weeks of hunkering down. And so, perhaps it might be better to touch base sometime, not to let 3 weeks go by before we all.
Sure, I agree. I definitely agree with that. So, I mean, I can send out even weekly emails if you guys would prefer, and then if potentially it's something that comes up that we need to maybe do something like this, we can go that route. The only thing that I am wondering, so we do have a septic variance on the Board of Health agenda tonight. So that's something, again, I don't know with everything going on if someone will be interested in installing a septic system at this time. But just to make sure that moving forward, I guess, in between our meetings, I know when we do the abbreviated schedule during the summertime, typically the board will give the authorization of the health director to make decisions as needed. So I don't know if that's something that we can do. I don't anticipate the plans being an issue with getting motions pushed through immediately, with everything being kind of at a standstill right now, but I would say more internal applications.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Because obviously with just Mona and I here, we can't vote to grant you that authority.
Yes.
also don't want to have people get held up because of the board's inability to do things. I wonder if there's a possibility of you giving folks kind of a quote-unquote conditional go ahead, subject to future board review. I mean, I don't know, because obviously if you tell them to go ahead and do it and they do it, we can't really tell them to undo it.
Sure, and I don't anticipate this really being a problem right now with everything being relatively shut down and slow. But just for example, the Charles Gate, they had a septic variance for a sieve analysis because they did not conduct a perk test. So we have no concerns with that. The plan has already been approved by our office, but the procedure is typically it goes in front of the board for your approval. So that's just one to think about.
Well, I think if anything were to crop up that absolutely needs the board's attention, I don't think there's necessarily a problem with scheduling a special board meeting to try and deal with that, as long as we meet the required notice.
Of course, posting within 48 hours. That's totally understandable. Sure, that sounds good.
And if it has to be on a Wednesday or a Thursday or Friday or whatever, I mean, we can kind of work around that. I think everybody's well aware that this is a very different time, and we'll do what we can to keep things moving.
And then just looking at the date for John Splain for the animal inspector, that is, again, this was sent back in March, so things have changed. This is due back on April 1st. So that's another somewhat timely matter because we want to make sure we fill this out and get it back to them. Again, I'm sure extensions will be granted given the circumstance, but just to kind of get everything.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wanted to second everything that Bill has said, and it's just like my concern too is like more items are going to pile up on the agenda, and we definitely need weekly meetings from now on because we missed already one meeting, and tonight we don't have a quorum, so we're not going to be able to do much tonight either. I definitely support the fact that we should meet on a weekly basis, whether in person. I don't know if we can do it in person
No,
anymore,
well, right now we're kind of going away from any in-person meetings, but something like this is doable and it seems like it works really well.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, and I certainly would be okay with having a meeting scheduled either for next week or the week after so that we can try and plow through some of this stuff.
Okay.
And again, if it has to be on some other night than a Tuesday, I'm stuck at home.
Do we know if why the other members couldn't connect tonight, or did anybody email you? Melissa?
No one emailed me that they weren't going to be present, and as far as I know, that they were all going to be present. I hadn't heard from Carol or Richard, but Richard Biergard said he was going to come, and Stefan received it as well. They all received the code because I did the read receipt, so I know everyone got the code.
Okay, so maybe they were having technical difficulties or
I'm checking my phone now and I don't see any emails or anything, and I gave everyone my personal cell phone just in case if something like that were to happen.
Okay.
So do we want to do something for, like, if we want to do 2 weeks or 1 week, the 24th would be next Tuesday, the 31st would be the last Tuesday of the month, and then obviously that following Tuesday would be when our regular scheduled first of the month meeting would be.
I would suggest let's see if we can pull something together for next week, so we can at least
Yes,
get
absolutely.
some of these things.
Okay.
So next week would be the 4th, and anyway, the video and poster award night has been canceled, right? So
That is being canceled, correct. So again, we've always done the 7:30. Does that work for everyone?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, it works for me, but again, if another night of the week works for others, that's okay too. Let's try and pick a time when we can get a quorum and bang through some of this stuff. Otherwise, at some point, we're going to have an agenda that's going to take us 5 or 6 hours to get through.
Sure.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm concerned about. So let's do it on a weekly basis and just get it over.
Okay. So potentially we'll meet next week, and then maybe we'll not meet the 31st via Zoom, and then we'll hold our regular meeting on the 7th.
Sure, sounds good.
Okay.
Let's see how things evolve first, Melissa, in case.
I mean, if we need to do it more often, we can.
Sure.
Yes, absolutely. Okay.
Okay. All
I
right.
just wanted that I feel I couldn't talk when Jim was talking. I didn't know how to unmute it, but I feel very comfortable with all the precautions that we've taken so far. I mean, the board has been always proactive, and with the schools being closed, and we had a conversation, you and me, Melissa, last Tuesday in regards to the schools, and I was very concerned because a lot of people are asymptomatic right now, and they could be contagious even though they don't have any symptoms. And like, we didn't want to wait until we have a positive case. By that time, maybe a couple of hundred other people have been exposed to that same person.
Sure.
So it was a wise decision to just shut down the school, shut down the town. That's the right way, because we definitely need to flatten the curve and just stop the spreading.
Sure, of course. And I definitely think, I mean, it's been a great community approach, as Jim said. It's definitely been all hands on deck. We've bounced ideas off of each and every one of us, the schools, the school nurses, our department, Bridget, the superintendent, Jim, DPW. It's been definitely a group effort, and even more moving forward, like Jim said, even though people maybe aren't working their normal roles, they are working in other avenues, so like outreach workers to make sure that operations are still going, but maybe just in a different direction. So I think it's a really good effort that everyone's putting forward, for sure.
I approve.
Absolutely. Okay, I guess, unless there's something else that we need to discuss or know about, we can adjourn our meeting. A very quick meeting.
Well, this was a trial meeting to see how it's going to work.
Oh, okay. And it worked well. This is pretty cool, actually, I have to admit.
So I will get, Mike Donovan, he already just reached out to me, so he will get a code going for next week. We'll plan to do 7:30, same time,
Okay.
same place, and
Sounds good.
we'll hopefully get through this agenda.
All right, everyone stay safe. Practice good social distancing. If I see you on the street, I'm going to walk 6 feet aside of you.
Yeah.
Don't take it personal.
No one feels insulted.
All right, thank you so
All right,
much,
thank
everyone.